broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
That made me crazy.
And that it was.
That made me crazy. Yes.
Welcome, AfterBuzzers. Welcome to another Bachelor After Show here on AfterBuzzTV.com. But can we ask you something? We're going to ask you. Yes, please.
I'm an AfterBuzzer.
Yes, you are.
I'm an AfterBuzzer.
So let's tell the public this. Will you just please subscribe to our channel by going to YouTube.com/.
That's not a question, that's a declarative sentence, but I agree with you.
Danny. Thank you. Okay, so we got to keep this tight because we have so many people here tonight. It is a Bachelor
full house.
extravaganza.
Gnarls Barkley's here.
Absolutely. If you want to chat with us, go to hashtag ABTV Bachelor. But of course, subscribe to us on YouTube.com/AfterBuzzTV. And if you're listening to us, go to iTunes and SoundCloud and check out all our stuff. But first, let's introduce ourselves. I'll get it right eventually. I'm your host, JC Rubio. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JC Rubio TV. And across the table,
I am your co-host, Lauren Solomon. You can follow me on Twitter at LaurenSOL and on Instagram at LaurenSOL.
I'm your friend and resident wearer of black clothing. My name is Daniel Jacob Hoyt.
I'm the token Cathy on the show, Cathy Kelley. You can find me at Catherine Kelley on the Twitter.
But tomorrow,
On the Twitter.
tomorrow we can find you in Japan.
Yeah, you can. Well, actually, you can find me on a plane. Apparently, there's a holiday in Japan where they throw beans at each other.
Yes.
Tomorrow, so I'm going to participate.
I'll give you some beans on your Sunday off.
all right, settle down, you two. You can tell why this is sass. This is the sass
He was
side.
gone, so I put refried beans in his beanie drawer.
I just flew in today. I get home, I open my beanie drawer, and there's a can of refried beans.
Our friend and I also put a GQ of Jon Snow in his freezer because he was too hot.
Yes, because Danny just got back from the Super Bowl. So
That's
of
right.
course, yes, a great trip. But we have to introduce our special
Yes.
guest.
Yay.
Okay, we don't have one. We have two extremely special guests tonight. And first off, yes, an AfterBuzz favorite, Miss Daniella McBride from Sean
Hey
Rose season.
guys,
Thank you.
thanks for having
Daniella.
me. I'm excited to be back.
And you're kind of like our Bachelor dating coach. And I say this for a reason, because you've been on 2 seasons of the show, and we're going to need your insight. But we have a professional here tonight as well.
We do.
Yes, we have a...
I'm kind of nervous. Is that
you?
weird? No, just kidding.
I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah.
Tell us what we're doing
It always
wrong.
gets a little edgy.
What are we all doing wrong?
Yeah, tell us right now.
We want to know.
We want to know.
And we have a very, very special guest tonight. She's a relationship expert, dating coach, and author of Screwing the Rules. Yes.
Screw 'em.
Yes.
The No Games Guide to Love, so it softens the screwing.
You know, and
You nailed it on the head, though.
Oh, the puns begin. Okay, no, what I wanted to say is, what is that intoxicating trait that women lack but all men desire that you have in your book?
Yes.
I want to find out about this perhaps a little bit later in the
All
show.
right.
But we're here to talk about The Bachelor. Overall thoughts, was tonight the most dramatic episode you've ever seen?
No.
Next episode.
But it
on
was
the
one
To
of the
Be Continued.
weirdest.
But it was one of the weirdest, I would agree.
For sure.
Why? What?
Kelsey's weird.
She's 50 Shades of Grey.
It is just, and here's the thing, like, I'm concerned legitimately for her. And I think a lot of people feel the same. Legitimately, something is wrong, and she needs help.
Yeah, one of that interview was one of the weirdest interviews or ITMs I've ever seen on the show.
I agree.
It was so
And that's not
strange.
edited. It's like you can't edit those words together.
know.
She actually said, "I love my story."
Well, she went from tears to triumphant, and that's the problem. And it was like instantly, she was sobbing about her dramatic story. And then, yeah, I'm pretty amazing. I am. It was so self-indulgent.
strange. Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's very
The
narcissistic.
emotional flip-flopping, and even separate from words, like her looks, her mannerisms, the eyes that she gave girls when they said things, and whether she was validating them or not.
I felt like she was possessed.
Yeah,
it was
very
some possession for sure.
Now, Daniella, did you have any experience without naming any names, anything close to what we just saw tonight happen on your season?
No, please name names.
You know
Name
what? Actually, when I watched this this episode tonight, I actually thought of Montana on my season because it was the weirdest energy in the room. Everyone was like, what's going on? And then my team lost and we came back, and then all the girls were all mad that we came back, and then I ended up getting a rose that night, but it was just the weirdest night. Like, everyone was mad at
Tiara
each
was
other.
there?
Yeah, Tiara.
Tiara.
Yeah, Tiara's there.
Okay. All right, so
But yeah.
I miss her sparkle.
all right, we're gonna dive in deeper, much deeper. But let's start with the beginning. Let's start with beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico.
It looks beautiful there. I have never been there, but it looked awesome to me.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It's a little bit of an odd choice, I think, but it is beautiful.
It's different.
It's
different.
calm. I think they were trying to infuse a new energy because the chicks are so crazy that they wanted to have something that was just a little bit relaxed.
Is this done for a reason? Because we've seen Chris. He's very calm. He's this serene gentleman from what we get, and his difficulty saying full
Forming
sentences.
Yeah.
Kind of like me right now. But is that why we have so much cray this season?
I don't know.
There's always a little cray.
There's always some cray, but it seems like there's quite a few.
No,
cray, more
I
than
almost
usual.
feel as if there's people who really need to go to a mental
Yes.
health on this season.
Yeah, like instead
I
of
don't
editing-
even think
Actually,
it's
S left.
Yeah,
I thought
she-
we were done with it.
that was
Yeah.
out of a movie. I can't even describe that one.
That was weird.
I would watch a follow-up show with Ashley
want to see her more.
Ashley I, and Kelsey. I would watch a follow-up show with just those two.
I would love them to
Put
be in a room together.
with some
There you
padded
go.
walls
Human
like these
experience.
things.
Bachelor in
Yes.
Paradise 2.
And let's
Get
see
on
what
there,
happens.
girls. Get on there.
Secluded on an island.
All right. Let's bring it down to not so crazy, to the delightful Carly.
Yeah.
She's delightful.
She is. Okay, and then let's talk about this date because, okay, should I even jump? Should we go straight into the love doctor, the guru?
The love guru.
Which it seemed like for the most part, the majority of the people in the room watching the show, we had a full house, felt a little
It was
awkward
so
watching
awkward.
this.
It reminded me of Meet the Fockers. His parents.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I get the idea that she was trying to do, removing the mask. But the problem is that although I believe you should get raw on the first date, I don't think that you should get necessarily physically raw on the first date. I mean, you can. But in order to do that, you have to get emotionally raw first.
Right.
And this love guru was saying, let's skip the emotionally raw and let's just get physically raw. And they weren't ready emotionally to go there.
I think there are girls that they jump right in with the physical side.
Yeah.
Like we see on the show, there are girls who do that first. Carly is not one of those girls. And
Right.
clearly the producers knew this going into it. That's why they put her on that date to bring
Exactly.
out the insecurities
Yeah.
that she has.
I don't
that
think it brought the
physical-
insecurity. It made me respect her when she's like, I'm not comfortable. And
Well,
he goes,
yeah,
I respect
but
your decision.
She definitely was insecure going into that date. It was very uncomfortable for her at the beginning until they both voiced that they were uncomfortable. And then I think she let her guard down a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up a question for the whole panel is, we know that Chris tends to kiss a lot, and one of the activities was the little lap challenge, and what they couldn't do was kiss. And it wasn't interesting them using other forms of communication without kissing and helping them break down those walls.
They
Maybe I'm
say
the only person here.
sometimes not kissing is more intimate than a full-on makeout session. Right?
Looking into
I mean,
each other's eyes,
yeah.
breathing like that into each other, that is very, very intimate. And I think that
Sitting in
Chris,
his lap.
and a lot, yeah,
right in his
and
lap.
I think Chris and a lot of the other women there, they use kissing as their go-to when they're awkward, and it's like, this is just too
I don't know what to
uncomfortable.
do. Let's just kiss. Yeah.
Touching is his love language because he is not good at talking. So.
Yeah, or it's just his awkward language, which is fine too. But I think a lot of the girls there, they, especially if they're going to jump into the physical and have sex immediately or whatever
Yeah.
it is, it's to avoid being emotionally raw first. It's completely a facade and an avoidance
You are so
technique.
right.
That's so on it.
You're so right.
Can we also talk about until I saw my notes, I forgot about this, but her date card was Carly, let's come together.
Yeah.
That's what it said.
Yeah,
that was the date card.
And I was watching when she
spelled?
C-O-M-E, right?
It was spelled C-O-M-E, and I was watching the girls' reaction to see if any of them kind of giggled or chuckled. None of them caught on to this. Even Carly kind of like had a hint of a smile for a second, but they kept it very PG in their responses, and I was watching for that.
They had to have been like edited out or something. Like, how would you not?
But
No,
why would you?
because
Why would
the
you
way
write
that you say it, it's like, oh, let's come together. Like, it's. See?
You can't even say it without laughing.
In your mind, it's just so
You
awkward.
can't do it. Kathy,
I guess
say it
our
with
minds are in the
Say it with a
gutters.
straight face. Look in that camera and say it with a straight face.
Lauren,
Not possible.
let's move on. Let's move on to.
Like, why would the
12-year-old
producers?
boy.
Why would the producers write that and then not show us the reactions? Like, give us
I don't
the
know.
gratification of seeing that
They've
joke
been doing
play
that
out.
a lot this season, where they're more tongue-in-cheek. They're making fun of
Yes,
themselves.
they are doing that more. Like, I've definitely noticed that for sure.
And Laurel, we
A lot
talked
of
about that.
sexual
They're kind
innuendos.
of changing it up a bit this season and adding a few more little wrinkles.
Definitely.
To the show.
I think that they're intentionally adding the crazy. And then the Jimmy Fallon was something that was interesting and
Jimmy
different. Jimmy Kimmel.
Kimmel.
Laurel, what's wrong
Fallon,
with
yes.
you? Jimmy.
Yeah.
And that was a last minute add-on. So I think that they're trying to make it a little bit
Spice it
different.
up.
I think what they need, though, is a dating coach.
Oh my God, that is a great idea.
They need someone like me, but just
Yes.
someone who's sitting there saying, you know what, this is what you're doing wrong. Next time, this is what you should do. So it's editing the girls. It's also having takeaway for the viewers. So the viewers are like, oh, you're right, because that was
But
not
they do
correct.
so many other shows that they have that on. They had it on Ready
they
for
do.
Love. They had it on Tough Love. They
Are You
had
the
it on Are You the One? And that new show with the Black
the
Bachelor
mama.
on, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
they secretly
definitely.
do have a
Yeah, we have a
therapist.
therapist, and she,
Yeah.
well, was, I don't know if you had the same one as I did, but
I'm sure you did.
The best, my favorite person on that show. Like, I loved her. I talked to her about
But they
everything. She's
need it
great.
to be seen
Yeah,
because the
by an
audience
audience.
needs takeaway.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like whenever I go to a bar and someone finds out I'm a dating coach, it's instantly, oh my God, you have to hear my issues.
That's why I said you
everyone
tonight.
wants to know about it. It's a little bit of voyeurism and also takeaway, and I think it would be much stronger.
Yeah.
We've railed on this date. We've talked, oh my God, it was so awkward. But then come the night portion of the day, and this is where Carly reveals actually what she was missing in her previous relationship. What were your thoughts on that, Lauren?
I really liked seeing Carly open up, and she's well spoken, and she's I don't know, I really like her. She's grown on me a lot. I mean, I liked her from the start, but I really liked her after her one-on-one.
I mean, more so the fact that she just wants to be loved. Is that the right approach? I mean, I know we're on a
That's
show.
everyone,
Well,
I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I don't understand. I would like to know a little more of how long that relationship lasted with Carly and her
Didn't she say a
ex-boyfriend.
couple years?
Because if that's the
years.
case, and if that issue is prevalent from the beginning, while it's weird about the guy, and I think it says something about the guy that there was something off with him, maybe he had an issue growing up, or there was something that happened to him. It also says something
Or just a
about
confidence issue.
but it also
in general.
says something about her
Yeah.
that she stayed with somebody who had
I
this
agree.
issue,
That
She
which
wasn't
says there's
able
a
thought
to
about
gap.
that
voice her
too.
needs
Well, for
at
me,
the
that
very
says there's an
beginning.
emotional gap for her that wasn't.
Yeah.
That isn't being filled, and that is a little bit of a red flag for
Well,
me. If
first
I'm
of
Chris.
all, it's very, very common actually to have this type of a disconnect physically in a relationship. I've actually been in a relationship like that before I understood how to voice my needs. But the other problem is women don't know how to voice their needs these days. So they're
That's so
sitting
true.
there feeling not like a woman. They're not feeling sexy, and because she's not feeling sexy, she's not getting the other two needs that every single woman needs. Every woman needs to feel sexy, safe, and seen. And seen means vulnerable. And I love you even though you're a mess sometimes, and that's okay. I love you for you, as messed up as you are. So because she didn't feel sexy, she didn't allow herself to feel seen either. She wasn't able to be emotionally vulnerable.
Right.
And she was saying, I've never really felt safe.
sexy,
So-
seen, and
Safe.
And safe.
I love
Sexy,
that.
Sexy,
Sexy,
seen,
seen, and
safe.
safe.
And
that down.
men want the same thing.
Taking notes.
Well, and then Danielle, I was going to ask you this, and was it interesting where Chris revealed actually that he's been made to feel that he wasn't good enough?
Yeah.
I thought that was a huge
It
reveal.
was huge.
first girl that's really pulled a big emotional thing out of
True.
her like that. I have to give
Yeah.
that to Carly. I thought that was good that he did that. I think that there's a little more to it, and I would like to see Chris talk about it more.
Do you think maybe it was the love doctor, that whole thing going on, the breaking down of the mask? It might have actually been
Sometimes
it.
you need to feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable with someone else to get to that point where you are comfortable.
Yeah.
Almost, if that makes sense.
It's the Bachelor's love on steroids. We've talked about that year after year.
Well, if you experience something together, that's how you're going to grow. And I feel like that's what came out of this situation.
It almost helped that it was more weird.
Yeah.
Like that it was just very weird.
I feel like I would have been laughing.
An experience that now that they can build on.
It's getting
I'm glad that-
emotionally raw.
yeah.
That's if you do, anyone can actually have that situation on a first date. Absolutely anyone. If you get emotionally raw, I'll show you mine, then you show me yours. So I get raw, you're then gonna get raw back, and we're gonna connect on a really deep level, and we're gonna start to expose things about ourselves, like what Chris did for the first time, because for the first time he was emotionally raw.
That's my favorite kind of connection, is when you share something.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't
That's a
share
real
things
connection.
that are deep to get something back. But when I share it and it naturally happens, that's my favorite kind of raw, real connection.
And you're also going to be more apt to share if someone else does first.
Right. It creates a moment, and moments are my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But I think that could have also gone the complete opposite way.
It could have.
I bet there was a lot of massaging to make sure that it didn't. Because I think it started to go the wrong way.
You think?
I think so, with the physicality of it.
Not literal massaging, but like taking care of the
I think
situation.
that they had to really sit and help that situation because it got a little awkward for a second.
I will share this. I went on a first or second date with a guy who wanted to get a couples massage, and because I'd never gotten a massage before, it was very uncomfortable for me, and I feel like I closed off because of it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you really, like, it seemed like he just wanted sex or to see me naked or something
And
like
it's
that.
not like
and it
you're
was a turn off
talking
for me.
on the date at all.
Yeah, how are you connecting at all? Getting a massage.
That's even
And I
worse
feel
than
like-
going to a movie.
So
Yeah.
for me, I closed off from that.
I would too.
But I mean, with this, I feel like if Britt had gone on that date, it would have been much more sexual.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the date, like when they just had alone time, the two of them, that would have continued. So it could have been a
sexual
complete
part, though, but the emotional vulnerability wouldn't have.
no, she
and
would
that's
have
the
had
problem.
that. That's why it could have been completely opposite.
Yeah.
I went on a first date not too long ago. I guess it's been a while now, but we got a foot massage randomly. But we
That's
sat
a
next to
great
each other,
idea.
really
But it was,
calm
like,
out, we got a foot
spontaneous.
And
massage.
you're not naked under a robe.
Yeah.
That's
But it was like
weird.
it happened to be across the street. We were like,
I think
let's
that's.
spontaneous.
I actually love that idea as a first date.
All right, this is the first date, and you can already tell how much we've delved in, and we've got so much cray coming up, so let's get going. Next, we have I'm Rapidly Falling in Love with You, the group date, and of course, we start seeing Kelsey. You see the camera start focusing on her. She really wants
Music
that one-on-one.
changed.
Yes, she and Ashley, and we get Jade, Megan, Caitlin, Whitney, Mackenzie, Becca, Sam, Ashley, and of course, Kelsey. And of course, Kelsey goes a little cray because
Right
she
off
knows
the
Britt's going
top-
to get the date.
Well, right off the top, I have to say this about this date. I like the idea. I wanted so much more from this. They needed more to show more airtime. They needed to do more besides just the cool. You whitewater rafted, but like let's sit down and maybe have another camp night. Do something that Chris likes to do. Go walk through a field. You can just do more.
It's always filler, you know that, Danny. When they go to these dates with 10 women, it's mainly filler.
It's
I mean,
filler.
let's talk to
But
some of the
also
girls
this-
that have been on some of these group dates. Is it? I mean, do you really get something out of those group dates?
You can.
I loved group dates. They were my favorite because we had fun with each other.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, of course you want to get your one-on-one time and
Yeah, no, I definitely was never a huge fan of group dates just because I wanted that one-on-one time.
Yeah.
But in reality, I was like, okay, I gotta have fun with it, and this is just like whatever. I'm on a date with like a whole bunch of girls. But in reality, in the end, it's fun, but I almost feel like I'm on an obstacle course.
It's gotta be like crossing things off your bucket list, but for him, he said, he's like, I'm very outdoorsy, so for him to then see who's complaining, who's not
yeah.
doing
that
well in
last
the
week, though.
situation.
That's like
Kelsey, every single week, she hates being outdoors, she hates...
Yeah, and there's always like that running theme with the group dates. There's always someone who's like who has trouble, who can't do it, and I feel like that's why they do the group date. They want to see that person who can't handle it.
There's always the girl who gives the guy all the attention, and
Right.
then you're like, all right, girl, like,
And then
there's always the girls like, who's he talking to, who's he hanging out with, and we're all just going crazy because we're just like, what is happening right now?
But that's also the point of the date. Of course you want to be the one who's talking to him the entire time. Yeah, it's going to piss everyone else off.
Yeah.
But you're not there to have a girl's getaway. You're there to have a date.
The ones who are comparing themselves the most are the ones who self-destruct, like Ashley I.
totally wasting their time making themselves forgettable.
Yeah, I feel like she is just stressing out to the max, Ashley I just want her to relax. I feel bad how stressed out she is, but...
She stresses me out watching.
Yeah,
she really does.
But she also continued the drama of him freaking out because I'm a virgin. He honestly didn't freak out. This is a symptom of what so many women do, which is create our own stories in our head.
Well, that's all they have time for, is because they don't have time to talk to him, so you're replaying your situations in your head over and over again. If you don't have TV to distract, if you don't have your family's cell phones, nothing, The Bachelor, your entire time there is literally just thinking about this person.
And producers are asking about you, how did it go? Like, do you feel like that didn't go well? And just a million questions.
Why, do you think
and then you start, what?
Yeah, no, I remember the first, there's always a memory I remember, and I say to people that I remember we're at this hotel gym, and I'm working out, and a guy's checking me out, and I was like, oh my God, there's another guy out there, because you're so weirded out that you think that there's only one, but I was like, wow, this is crazy.
You definitely get caught up in all of it,
You get caught up.
Well, then, so how does that explain, Cathy, you just said the fact that you're alone at the house, and you're just you see one Bachelor, but Jordan... She went home and she came back. She had time to reflect, and she wanted to come back for a second shot. Thoughts on that?
Did she want to come back for a second shot for him or for the Twitter followers?
Literally a shot? A shot?
Yeah.
She was drinking a lot.
I think she realized that she made a huge mistake, and it was that she wanted to do a mid-course correction. She came back, and she wasn't able to convince him. I think that the way that the women acted was ridiculous.
Yeah.
With every single one of them taking up their entire dates talking about her. It was just, why are you going to waste your time?
Right.
Instead of sitting there making him realize, oh, I kept you because you're so great.
I don't think any of them did that, though.
Well,
they tried to. No, they started out doing that, but Chris asked all of them, if you notice, he's like, hey, how do you feel?
Yeah.
That's how he started.
But I would say, you know what?
A couple of them did.
Decision is yours. I have no say, but let's talk about us.
A couple of them did.
The reality is that people are dating like this in real life.
Yeah.
It's not like you're only dating one person at once. You're dating 5 people, maybe.
I usually only date one person at once.
But at the very beginning, when you're trying to meet people, you might be going out. Okay.
I know other people
Well, if you're online dating, you might have a date scheduled tonight and one in 3 days and one in 5 days. So there are a couple of different people. When you go on a date, you're not going to sit there like, okay, so who else are you dating? Because if you're dating anyone else, then I'm not okay with it. No, you're going to be great. You're going to be your best self instead of wasting both of your time. When you do that, you're forgettable.
I'm one of those people. I'm not going to lie that I've gone on multiple dates in a week, but I agree. I think like you keep it hush hush. Like you just let it be
what it is. Deal
Unless
with it.
you really
present
like the
your best
person.
self.
I think it gets to a point and you're like, hey, are we moving towards being exclusive or...
Then it's a different story.
But I think in this situation, Chris asked the girls, he gave them permission, he said, I would like to know what you think. Some version of that, and so each one, what we saw was the very beginning was quick cuts.
It's the second time this has happened.
But hold on,
girls come back.
Is this a cop out by Chris? Because if he really liked Jordan, he would have kept her there, or would have kept her there after. And now in the second, go
but
around.
he had to take the temperature of the room, and he said this when he let her go. He said,
I totally disagree.
As a man with responsibility, he was taking a temperature of them. Chris, I feel like Chris wasn't making this decision on his own. He wanted to see how the girls reacted.
But it's not their decision to make.
It's not, but Chris is easily swayed. Chris is a little bit, to me, he sways like the wind sometimes.
And it's a real problem. It is. I mean, it shows a lack of real problem. It does.
The thing is,
these are his issues.
The thing is, too, when he says to Jordan, why I'm letting you go, he said, I'm a man, I have a responsibility. Even though he says that, I feel like he still didn't all the way act like a man in the situation. While I respect Jordan for coming back and what she said and the way she said it, I respect it. I felt like it was honest. She looked cute in the moment.
Me too.
She looked like she had, like you said, a self-actualization of like, I need to correct this. And she's always going to wonder what if. However, in that moment, he could have looked at her and made the decision. And he didn't. Because he's not sure. He doesn't know. He doesn't yet. I don't think he
I think he doesn't want to
quickly.
upset anyone either.
That's what
I think.
I
think I also looked at him as like a Midwestern guy who is just a sweetheart and doesn't and knows that the rest of the country is watching this and he doesn't want to be a douchebag.
Yeah.
I think in reality he was like being smart about it. And I think that he was being polite about it, but in reality, he wasn't into that.
He might have sent her home, but he hadn't finished the sentence yet.
or maybe we didn't see things, and maybe he really, honestly, didn't feel anything for her.
I didn't see it. Chris has tells. When he talks to girls, if he's straight faced, there's no smile, there's not even a peek, he's over it. When he was talking to Mackenzie tonight, he had a straight face. He was over it.
I felt like he was like that with Kelsey,
too. Make out with a girl and then send him home.
Chris has tells if you watch his face. And when Jordan's talking to him, he'll listen. He'll give him eye contact. But he has a tell, and his face was just, you could tell right away.
Totally agree.
And, lost in all this is, someone got a rose.
Yeah.
Whitney.
None of us knew who was going to get it, by the way.
Yeah, we didn't have a clue.
Well,
Ashley thought it was going to be her.
Nothing happened on
Exactly. That's why I was so frustrated.
There was one comment I heard that he said commentary-wise about Whitney on the raft. I think he has a hots for her.
And she was sitting next to him,
She looked cute in her workout outfit, and I think he just was like, oh, I'm happy she's next to me.
They have a connection. I actually really like them together.
I think they're really cute.
I think that she would honestly move to be with him.
Yeah, I think
and
so
she
too.
would enjoy it. And I think that they're more on the same page than a lot of the other women who are really trying.
Would you say it's a maturity level thing?
There were 3 girls on that date.
I think it's maturity and just the way that she is. It's sort of ingrained in her. It's her style. It's who she is as a person. You couldn't take me. I was born and bred in LA. I would not be able to go and live on a farm for the rest of my. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much I love this man. I couldn't do it.
I couldn't either.
We would have to come up
Kathy?
with a middle ground.
Yeah, there were 3 girls on this date that I thought really spoke their point of view very well about Jordan coming back while still remaining classy in the situation. And I think that was Whitney, Jade, and Becca.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed.
We didn't see any of Sammy, but I think she would have probably
Sammy.
She did get one line to camera tonight. I will say this about Whitney. This concerns me. While I do like their connection, I agree. She, I think, would get bored with his lack of ability to just vocalize what he's feeling and thinking and saying.
Communication can be learned.
Yeah, I was going to say...
It can be, but Chris is 37. What is it, 33? 33.
like, that's a big difference.
It's not that it's not possible, but in where he lives, in that environment, people aren't very well spoken.
Yeah.
It's not a knock on them. I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Nebraska, right next to Iowa. My first job was working in a cornfield. It's just not something that happens.
I have very good friends in Des Moines who are very well spoken. I don't think that's what it is.
In the rural parts of the city,
they grew up in Ames. Like, that's a really small town in Iowa.
Farming towns.
Yes, farming towns.
I've been
grew
to Ames.
up on
There's
farms.
a giant college there.
Yes, but like...
All right, settle down, you two.
20
Save it
minutes
after the show.
outside of Ames, which is still considered
That's what I'm
Ames.
talking
That's still
about.
Ames.
It happens every week with these two. I have to separate them.
I'm just saying, I think that there would be, the communication levels would be difficult.
But communication is something that can be learned, and a lot of the other elements cannot be
You
learned.
don't have to communicate verbally either.
Yeah.
He communicates with his tongue.
With his
No. They could actually be complementary between the two. And I was going to ask you that because we see Whitney's kind of that spitfire, and Chris is a little more laid back. And in the end, you kind of need that. If you have 2 people going, they have to have the spotlight at the same
Yin and
time.
yang.
That's going to create animosity.
Yin and yang.
They worked well together at that wedding.
That was a great date.
Yeah.
They seem really good
And
together.
they balance each other out really well.
I think
That's what I
opposites
think too.
attract.
Yeah, so do I.
believe
Oh,
that.
I totally believe
Most all
that.
the guys I date are
They
so different
attract,
than me.
yeah, but it can end up being a problem in the end.
right. Okay.
But they do attract.
Professional
You
right
gotta have
next
that
to me.
compatibility too. You know?
This is peaks and valleys because now we're going to go to the fun part because I found out that Britt doesn't shower. And
Britt doesn't shower. What's going on with
That
that?
was just such an odd story arc.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it was they made such a huge thing out of the fact that she doesn't shower.
Yeah, and then when he saw her, he was
Maybe
like,
she
"You
just
smell
doesn't
good."
wash her hair.
Right. Why didn't they explain that?
I feel like that's what it is.
All of the girls said she didn't shower and she slept in makeup.
Yeah.
Well, the makeup thing was obvious and pathetic.
Yeah.
It is to sleep in your makeup.
She's ready to go.
I think that it's not a pathetic thing. I think it's an insecurity thing.
It is. Right.
Honestly, for a very long time, I was uncomfortable with not having makeup on, and it was because I was insecure with how I looked.
Yeah,
So
You're
I think
beautiful.
but I
sure a
didn't
lot of
believe it
people
for
do.
a very long time, and I think that that's where she's at right now. Is she wants to portray herself as that person, especially nowadays with internet comments. I'm sure the girls who aren't wearing makeup get at least one, if not thousands of tweets saying
I
like,
totally agree
you
with
need
that.
to put on makeup.
Yeah.
Look
And
at you,
especially
you look
when
like
you're
a dog.
But
like,
maybe not wear the hot
awful.
pink lipstick and the glitter at
Yeah.
night. I think
Okay.
that if you put on makeup at night, just have it be a natural makeup.
Yeah.
Because maybe the camera is going to be on you at 4:32 in the morning, and you do want to look
Like a little
decent.
Laura Mercier under eye, and a little Bare Minerals foundation.
makeup right here.
Oh my God! How do you know
I
that?
prefer a matte. Was it matte finish with like Mars? But now, Lauren, I was going to ask you. Now, thoughts that Carly was beside herself because they were kissing at 4:30 in the morning, right
Yeah.
next to her, right after that, this intimate
That's
date.
disrespectful.
That was disrespectful. If
thought so,
Chris
too.
should not have done that. He should have pulled her out. I mean, I know he was excited to see her. Obviously, they have the physical connection and the chemistry, but just don't do that.
And he shushed him.
That's too much.
Don't,
He
don't,
did
I
I would
shush
feel
them.
so insecure after,
Yeah.
especially if I had an amazing date with him.
I would be perturbed. I would just
be turned off.
Me
I would-
too.
I would
Exactly.
be majorly turned
Here's
off.
how I would do it. If I walked in the room and if they woke up and I said, "I'm sorry, ladies," I would have got Britt and I would have like carried her out of the room and had the conversation outside the room.
Exactly.
It's respectful.
That's respectful.
Right. And
And
you're
I
right.
wouldn't have kissed her
First.
until I'm away from.
Yeah, that was out of control.
Right.
I would have been like not okay.
Exactly, and that, Daniella, you're so right because I experienced similar things on my season. It's a turnoff, like when
Turn
things
off.
like disrespectful things. Juan Pablo season, things like that happen.
Yeah.
and you're like, what the heck? Like, why am I even here? And it's frustrating. So I would have been just as frustrated.
It speaks a lot to his connection with Britt, though, where I think she is a front runner right now.
Yeah.
It's.
I think she always has been.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
from the
She
first
got the
night.
first
You can tell by the
impression.
edits.
I mean, she's, yeah.
I thought this date was going to be a disaster because she was petrified of heights, and we've seen this season after season where there's a girl afraid of heights, and of course their date, they've got to rappel, they've got to do all this and that. But the second she got to the hot air balloon, she was so happy,
Beside herself.
amazing. Absolutely.
But that's also something that so many women do all the time. We have this expectation of it being horrible or whatever it is, and we build it up, and then we're stressing for days, and we cannot. She was crying over the possibility that maybe
That was a
she'd
little
be
dramatic.
jumping off the
That was
mountain.
overdramatic.
It's just you have to be more in the moment instead of
Right.
thinking what is the worst possible thing that could ever happen.
Why do women do
It's-
that? We do.
We
Yeah,
do.
that's a
We
great question.
tell
Why do
ourselves
we
stories,
overanalyze?
and we end up ruining relationships
Yes,
and our
totally.
day and everything else because
Guilty.
of it. I've
Guilty
done
as
it
charged.
too. I've done it too, and then I sit back and I'm like, why did I ruin that entire month of my life
Right.
with stress?
Yeah.
Wow.
You
Men
know-
and women are just different people.
Let's just talk about the difference between men and women.
That's for a separate
That's very
show.
involved.
That's our own difference.
My New Year's resolution was to not care as much, and I've been so happy this last week.
It's about being present.
Yes.
Present in the
Yeah.
moment.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
No overthinking, overanalyzing.
Yeah.
And they didn't because, of course, he took her back to his hotel room and
They took a nap.
They
What's
could
a
have
nap?
taken a nap. They really could.
could have.
They woke up so early,
You're right.
honestly, and you have to be on. And you know when you're on for cameras all
true.
day, that is exhausting. They could have gotten back and just been like, I just can't. I just
It's
need a little
true.
nap
Yeah.
to rejuvenate and then continue.
I
with
mean,
my
they did
day.
say it was 4:30 in the morning that he
Yeah.
got her, so I'm sure he had to wake up even earlier with the producers and.
And they
will
had room
say-
service, probably some alcohol.
I would have liked to see them land the hot air balloon up on one of those jagged rocks and have a little date up on the rocks. I will say.
That would've
You
been
know
cool.
that
Enjoyed
if
seeing
something physical happened, the cameras would have gotten them making out more
Oh,
and put
yeah.
it on TV
Or, like,
because
her
it's not an
playing
overnight
something.
date.
What's up
Right.
with the closing the doors thing?
It's for
then?
us. It's for the
just for
viewers
us?
to
I
look
will
like
say
there's a
though
private.
that
I
this
don't know.
season is, I will say, the most hot, like sex, like it's just like really
Sexed up,
passionate
yeah.
compared to other seasons. It's
Oh,
been
yeah.
way
You
more
would think
conservative.
wholesome boy from Iowa.
Oh no!
Ain't so wholesome.
He likes to drink. He likes to
love
He likes
language
to have
is
a little
touch.
fun.
His love language is touch. That's
His
all. we
tractor
do.
is sexy.
No, but Cathy, you brought up a great point because the girls were talking. There was a little powwow with some of the girls, but they were talking about Britt, and you mentioned something about she not getting the Bachelorette edit. Because let's say for argument's sake that Britt does not end up with Chris.
Yeah.
Right.
You would think she'd be a front runner for Bachelorette.
I
but
would
you,
say all of the girls who have been Bachelorette are liked by women, and because that is their viewership.
That's the
The
driver.
Bachelorette's viewership is predominantly women, with the exception of a couple. But I don't think that they would have shown that I don't know.
Yeah.
The girls were all saying negative things about her.
Yeah, they were saying she was basically being fake and that she's manipulative and putting on a show.
She doesn't want to have kids.
And she doesn't want that stuff. And she lives in LA and she is an actress, so it's like she probably does really.
What if that's not true of her? So they set it up and then they show behind the scenes that maybe some girls were speaking ill of her and it's not exactly true. And then the audience is like, well, shoot, we're on Brit's side now because those girls are being kind of mean.
Honestly, after that, I was like, as a fan, I was like, oh, she's not there for the right reasons.
That's what I thought too. I mean, it made me. I think when that all happened and the girls talked about it, I think especially when all the girls talked about it and going back to when I was there, it's like we're not gonna like lie, make up stories. Like
everybody's.
It is what it is.
It's all
if it's
fake.
like one or two girls saying it, they might be haters. But if it's all, 10 of them powwowing and they're all saying it, you know that there's a problem.
Right. Are they intimidated and a little jealous? Like, she doesn't even shower and she's still one of the front
Well, the reality is if Brit ends up marrying him, she's not going to stay in LA and be an actress. She's moving to Iowa.
To be an actress.
There's no way she's doing that.
I couldn't see her in Iowa.
Guaranteed.
She's a waitress in Hollywood.
Children.
She could be a waitress in Iowa.
Exactly.
No way, Jose.
I mean, they make, let's be honest, the couples after this show make money from, People Magazine or whatever it is. Like, they're able to sustain a nicer lifestyle than a regular farmer and his wife in Iowa.
Not actually a regular farmer.
I would disagree with that.
What?
Because I know that Chris is very successful.
Oh,
and,
well,
and
he's
like
successful
a farmer
already. Yes.
Farmers make a lot of
money. But he's a
businessman.
He's not just like a sewing the
But I'm just saying
ground.
that the average Midwestern American.
Right.
So
I think we're all failing to bring up the fact that Brit said herself that they were in bed for 2 hours, and the way it was said, it came off a little frosty.
She wanted to make the other girls jealous. She wanted to let them know.
And I think that's much of what everyone does. Everyone's playing the game.
No, they already see her connection with him is so strong, and I don't think Whitney would.
I think she'd be a little more mum.
I don't think Becca would. I don't think there are several girls on the show who would rub it in. I feel like that's just taking the dagger and like turning it. They already see her connection. You don't have to go that extra mile.
That's also an insecurity thing.
It is an insecurity thing.
That's the same insecurity issue.
It's the makeup.
Yeah. I don't think Whitney would talk about it. I also don't think Becca would have even done it. Mm-hmm. I don't think Becca would even got in.
Oh yeah,
and Ashley is she the other
yeah.
Yeah. She would have gotten in the bed, and I think she would have talked about it, but I don't think Becca would have for the same reason she didn't kiss him that first night.
I think Becca would have taken a nap.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she would have taken.
Maybe sat on the couch.
Becca is so mellow yellow. I'm like, woo. You can lay on the right now. I don't know.
You can lay on the floor next to me.
So let's break up the monotony and the mellowness and talk about what we've been waiting for. Kelsey. Was it you and Cathy that said this is like a soap opera?
It was out of control.
Okay.
What's going on with her?
No, we were saying the first date with
Carly.
With Carly looked like it was shot as a telenovela or something. Just
the ambiance of them.
So then we get the reveal of the big bad villain of Kelsey.
Yeah, they're making her.
But can we say that? I mean, because she does bring up the story about is it Sanderson? Yes, Sanderson Poe, and how he just dropped dead,
which is so sad.
Just the way she met him at 19, they fell in love. Yeah. 3 months later, they were together. And
on episode 1, remember I was all about Kelsey. I totally felt for her the way
I did too.
And I still do. I just I don't know what it is, but she is not coming off good.
She's scripting her love.
Yeah.
She's not feeling love. She's scripting it. It's literally as if she's like, I'm going to write my movie right now.
I feel like
I'm trying to think of like the right word to describe.
She's narrating herself.
I think she thinks she's a romance character in a novel, and she's like just going with it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Is it because she has not resolved what happened?
I mean, I think that
ex-husband.
It's hard to have a loss of anyone you're close to, but especially I don't think she's ready for it. It's been a year since her husband passed away. That's a big thing to overcome, and then to have all of your insecurities highlighted in a house like this. I mean,
exactly.
We said that week 1 that I think it was with Lauren that I said it's just too soon. How is it that a year later you're
ready to go?
Yeah, but still, I mean,
the 7 stages of grief. I think she's in denial still.
I think that she is. I think that she's not. I mean, she's clearly not ready to be dating. She's not ready to be dating on a reality television show.
Especially
that. For sure. But there is an element though that just feels like it's a put on. It just
Absolutely.
does.
And other girls have said that. They said she's fake. She's putting on.
I mean, I have no idea. I don't know her. I don't know Sanderson. I don't know what happened. But I do know that the way that she's acting it out feels like she is on a soap opera, and it's a little bit disconcerting.
Let me ask you guys this: do you think that this uncertainty about how he died and the fact that it was tragic set something off in her, or do you think she was a little bit like this before?
I mean, I thought about just like what's going through my head is the fact that when she hyperventilated and like she's having anxiety and when, you know, Chris is like, I need time on my own. I mean, if in reality I'm thinking, wow, like this girl like lost her husband and like I don't want to break her heart again, but at the same time it's like, why she put herself in the most emotional show she's ever put herself into.
But he did that with Julia 2 weeks ago. So he can do it.
I'm so turned off by how she's like, isn't my story amazing? That was
me.
So weird.
Why is she saying that, Laurel?
I mean, for me, that reminds me so much of, what is that movie that just came out of the woman who was married and she ended up pretending to kill herself? Yeah, was it not Gone Girl?
I haven't seen it. Damn it.
The way that she was, you have to see it. But how she was just talking about, she's scripting her life. Yeah. That's what happened in Gone Girl. She scripted her life. She was talking about how amazing, how smart she is to be deceiving her husband.
The one thing that disturbed me out of all of this, I like felt for her because I do want to give her the benefit of the doubt in this situation that she is just going through something. But the one thing that did bug me was her saying, well, one of you is going home. Like,
I'm gonna have to say goodbye to one of you tonight.
That also may have been a conversation that we weren't privy to that she had with Chris, where he said, "Look, I'm definitely keeping you, absolutely, and I'm probably gonna let go."
But that's making the other people feel bad.
Yeah,
intentional.
She is
you
playing
don't have to
a
do
game.
that.
This is very much about strategy and gaming for her.
Speaking of playing a game, I thought there was one ITM earlier in the night with Ashley I that the way that she phrased it made it sound like a pageant. Like instead of
what did she say?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, the top 11.
Yeah, the top 11.
The top 11.
We're top 11
competing for.
If I had to pick the most high maintenance girl, she is number one out of these 11.
Totally.
By a mile.
Yeah. And she doesn't think she is.
That's
funny.
The hard part. She has 100% blinded. Maybe she's blinded by her giant eyelashes.
Maybe.
I think she's very young, even though there are girls in the house who are the same actual age as her. I don't think that she is very girlish. Like she hasn't matured, and there are women in the house as well. Like Whitney, I feel like is a woman.
Right.
Becca is a woman.
Yep.
She just
still
reminds me of
where she's
college.
She's comparing herself to others, which is only going to make her more insecure.
And she's speaking from inexperience, and that's a problem. Because she actually does believe she's correct.
She also compared her story to Kelsey's, and I always feel when people do that, because you can't do that. Everybody's story is relative to you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Your story is not more or less tragic or worse or than anyone else's, and that bothered me when she said that. It really gave me like a weird feeling. To be honest, I don't think either of them make it past next week.
I don't think so either.
I think both her and Kelsey are gone, and not in a malicious thing. I just think they're not for Chris. And I think that's why he took part of the reason he took a moment, because he knows he's going to have to deliver that to Kelsey, and it's gonna be emotional.
Yeah.
Well, let's
I know
talk
it's an
about
early
that.
prediction, but I think that's what happens.
Well, we're getting that right. We're getting to it right now. But Chris actually just pretty much breaks down. I mean, he's overwhelmed by what happened this week, and he walks off, and he's consoled by Chris Harrison. Why didn't one of
just pops out of nowhere? By the way, he's just in a suit, ready to go. Saying Chris,
go, Chris, go, Chris, go, Chris.
That's so. When you say why did Chris Harrison go out and not another girl, that was my first reaction.
Yes.
Because if it was me and that was someone I was interested in, I'd be like, I know he needs his time, and they're trying to respect, and I think that's what he needs his space for. But at the same time, like, I don't know if someone really liked him.
The producers could have said stay here too.
Yeah, Daniella and Lauren, let me ask you guys this.
Yes.
That happens, one of the girls goes out. Does that girl not now have a little bit of a target on her back? Like, oh, she's stealing the moment.
It depends on who it is.
Does it not become a competition?
Wait, what are you saying about
what happens?
About Kelsey?
No, if any girl, Chris walks out of the room, if one of the girls ran after, what do you feel about that girl if you're also standing in that room now?
I mean, that's something I would never do. If somebody else did it, I mean,
depends on who it is.
It depends on who it is. I would never do that because he obviously needs space and moment. And it's a respect thing. Like, I'm not going to run after him and be like, are you okay? Like,
he looked like he was starting to cry.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes when a man is about to cry, he does want to be alone.
Right.
And I think the women were trying to respect that. But simultaneously, one of the things that a man wants in a wife is someone who he can feel like he can let his guard down, that he can come home at the end of the day and say, I had the worst day, and he can cry,
the one
and
person
it's okay.
he can cry in front of without being judged.
Again, safe, sexy,
or
and
feeling emasculated. Like, that's what
it's okay.
Yeah.
If Becca would have done it, if Whitney would have done it, because they've built up enough equity amongst the other girls, so when one of them shows up, it would be fine.
Yeah.
I would think that would totally be fine.
It's what it is doing for him. It's creating an environment of safety and trust. No matter where he is, she going in and injecting herself is saying, it doesn't matter where we are, I am here for you. And with you, or with me, you're at home.
You always say friendship on fire. It's that person who can console you, but then you also have that passion as well.
It's that balance.
I love that.
I think if somebody went out, there's 2 girls who would have flipped out about it.
Well, yeah,
Ashley and I.
You know what? It just
And Kelsey.
It reminds, and bringing back to the question that you talked about, and just saying that, like, if another girl went out, I mean, it would just be another whole drama thing, you know, about going out and like following them again. So I think that everyone respected it, but in reality, this episode reminds me so much of Sean's season in Montana, because Sean freaked out, he was all upset. And, like, it was a very similar situation. But there were some girls, like Desiree, who was more aggressive and, like, would go out and, like, go meet him and see if he was okay.
But I think that I would have enjoyed seeing it for this sense.
Yeah.
Because I would like to see a girl that sees the bigger picture. In the moment, the guy needed someone there. Mm-hmm. He needed someone that cares about him. And I appreciate a girl who sees that. It's not a personal thing. I need this time with you. I see the bigger picture. I just want to be there for you.
Yeah, I guess people just think about it differently because, like, I felt like as a girl I'd be like he needs space. Mm-hmm. Like it's just a preference.
Also, if they knew, like, if they saw Chris Harrison go after and then the producers go after and the cameramen, they know that they're like, okay, we're not allowed in that situation because Chris and Chris are having their time.
Yeah.
So
Chris time.
They just know from past weeks.
All right, so we haven't talked about the best part. The scariest part, because God bless if something really did happen to Kelsey.
Oh, yeah.
The panic attack. Mm-hmm. Okay, theatrics, what happened? What's going on there?
You know what? For me, it's a little bit reminiscent, and it's horrible to say it because it's a drama right now in life, but Whitney Houston's daughter, who was found in the bathtub. And it was very similar to, Whitney Houston died in the bathtub. So for me, when her husband collapsed when he was walking, and now suddenly she collapses.
I really feel like she's not through the 7 stages of grief yet. No. It's way too soon, especially like we said, for her to be thrust into a situation like that where it's going to bring out her biggest insecurities, and she has to talk about him all the time. It's just going to
and the rejection aspect
like this,
of it, like knowing. I think she just freaked out, thinking in her head like, I could be going home right now, and wow, like. She just probably had a panic attack.
How is that different, though, than Tiara? I don't know.
Tiara.
Who she knew in her heart she was going home, so she would do, like, she would fake illness or do dramatic things.
The thing with Tiara is she thought that she was winning.
Tiara, right?
No, it's Tiara, but
we
joke
Tiara.
I know, I said that once in my IGM.
The tiara, or someone called it the
terrible, or whatever.
There's so many good ones that season.
Anyways, I think the thing with her was that she thought Sean just loved her. So, and Sean did really like her at the time.
Kelsey thinks the same thing.
Exactly. So she just owned it.
Yeah.
And maybe she's owning it too.
Yeah.
So
and then there was one hit of, oh my gosh, maybe not. Maybe she passed out.
You just brought up the fact that Sean really did like Tiara. Tiara, sorry. But my thing is...
You said it right the first time.
Does Chris really like Kelsey? Do we see that?
I don't think
so. For the first time.
I would say no.
They did have a kiss, but I felt like he was like, can we go, or shall we? He's trying to...
But every single time he does that, like... Honestly, the first time he met Whitney, I thought that it was very platonic. The first time tonight that he kissed Carly, I was like, oh, she pecked him, and then he went in for a hug. He never does that. And then by the end of the night, he was making out with her.
That's true.
Yes, and he was kissing her first. I think that I don't know.
I don't think so, because when she was saying, "Okay, let's just end the show because everyone can go home,"
Why did she say that?
It was so assumptive and narcissistic.
He doesn't see that,
but
though.
he sort of looked to the side.
I felt like he was uncomfortable.
Yeah,
he wanted to get out of that
You're
room.
Right, you're the one. Let's get rid of every. He was
like, okay.
So Kelsey, you're saying Kelsey knows that, as Danny said, that she's probably the next to go.
Yeah, and to be honest, I wonder if any big emotional events have happened in her life since her husband, and this might be the first one that's triggering these things.
Maybe.
A lot of women do try and get over exes by starting to date way too soon. And while I do encourage you to do simple dating, like going online dating and going window shopping, I don't think that you should actually go out on dates because you're not emotionally window shopping. So you're just...
We'll get into that one in 2 minutes. I like it.
You can get into that one after the show,
But
JC.
what she's doing...
FarmersOnly.com.
She made a mistake. She made a mistake by putting herself on that show.
Yeah.
And of course, no rose ceremony to be continued. And
absolute gold for the producers.
Major cliffhanger.
After 2 hours, honestly, can you just give us
an
gift?
answer.
I know.
Do you feel gypped? Do you guys feel gypped?
Yeah. Cliffhangers are the worst.
Let's say there were 3 or 4 girls that weren't in the previews for next week, so you know.
We'll move on to predictions. Well, we'll predict that in a second, who's going home. But first, let us talk to our special guest. Let's move on to our Screwing the Rules, the No Games Guide to Love author, Laurel House. So how did this come to be? This is a book, basically, what is it, like dating in LA?
It's dating in anywhere in the world. I'm a dating coach, but I coach people all over the world. I coach over video Skype. So I have clients in Geneva and South Korea and Canada. And in fact, I have clients in LA who I don't see in person. We talk over video Skype. It's more expensive to meet in person. So.
Sure, I've seen gas. Yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
Now, you spoke of something. There is this. It's part of your book.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that most women lack.
Yes.
But all men desire, and it's what is it? The X.
Please tell me.
It's called the X appeal. Well, I've called it the X appeal, and I came up with this because I have a lot of clients and friends who are seemingly perfect, gorgeous, amazing bodies, perfect careers, confidence, and you look at them and say, "Why are you single?" And it's because they're lacking this X appeal. So an X appeal is a combination of a lot of different things, but when you really boil it down, it's confidence and vulnerability. So you are confidently vulnerable. You are allowing yourself to get raw. You're creating that environment of safety and trust. You have a combination of a lot of different things that guys want. They want fun. They want someone who they admire, who they can adore, who adore them. It's sort of this mishmash of a lot of things, but really, when it comes down to it, it's confidently vulnerable. And that's basically an attitude of what I call, it's voicing your needs, but here I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's walking into a room and not thinking, here I am, what do you think? Here I am, am I good enough? Are you judging me? And just, here I am. And I'm not perfect, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So
well
it's not being, a snob about it, because that's not sexy. It's just allowing yourself to be you and being confident in you, flaws and all.
Now, do you see any of the girls this season that have that it factor that you're talking about?
I think Whitney does.
Yeah.
I think she accepts herself.
So 1 out of 30.
I think Britt seems to portray that.
No, Britt's facade is so huge. I mean, the thing is that we all have some sort of facade. So I look at every woman as a castle, right? So there's some sort of an edifice. Sometimes it's this teeny little house, and sometimes it's a huge castle. And then in front of it is this facade. And our facades are sometimes always happy, or like, don't mess with me, or it's something. And it's really figuring out what our facade is and seeing past that. And Britt's facade that she's trying to show is perfect.
Yeah.
And perfect is forgettable.
She was the one girl that I was like, she is definitely going to be the next Bachelorette. And then hearing the other girl saying, no, she doesn't want kids yet. She doesn't want a husband yet. She's not looking for that. I'm like, she can't be that after, even if she says, because the way that they edited it, it looked like she was lying to Chris. saying like, I want a million babies.
She's putting her facade forward, and I think a lot of us do that, and it's a weakness, and it's what I, as a dating coach, try and break down and allow women to just be themselves.
They say always in the first 3 months, a lot of the time you're portraying either the best version of yourself or you're trying to be what you think the other person wants.
And here's the problem.
I think that's what she...
So they fall in love with that, and then one day, either they realize, wait, that's not you, or you're sitting here saying, excuse me, why aren't we doing anything that I like? And you start resenting him because you never told him that that's what you
don't like. Their music, you don't like.
We carry all of this resentment for no reason. Start voicing your needs on the very first date.
Are you saying, could you say that this is the main reason why the majority of Bachelor couples don't make it?
Couples in general.
Couples in general.
Couples in general.
People.
Yeah,
everybody.
It's because of the facade. I've fallen for facades before. Other people, have too. And it's one of the reasons why I say screw tall, dark, and handsome. And I don't mean to actually screw tall, dark, and handsome. I mean
literally.
It's not about tall, dark, and handsome. It's about who actually are they as a person. Because at the end of the day, turn off the lights. Can you have a conversation?
Exactly.
How do they make you feel about yourself?
Or keep them on if you're really freaky.
But do they make you smile? Do they make you feel good about yourself, or are you always questioning yourself and not feeling good enough?
Yeah.
And that's not how you want to feel. You want to be intellectually stimulated. You have to figure out what your needs are, not your want. You will never be happy ever if you get all of your wants met. You won't be happy.
You need the needs.
You need your needs to get met, and you'll find that your wants are also met. So it's really boiling that down. What are my actual relationship needs, not my wants?
Wow, very
perfection.
I love that.
Perfection.
Now, where can we find?
Let's hang out.
Yes, all the girls want to meet up with Laurel.
We want to hang out more.
Yeah, all the time.
So you can find me on Twitter at NoGamesLove, and my website, Screwing the Rules.
Screwing the Rules. Okay, I love
and
it.
FeminityExpert.com.
Fantastic. And Daniella, of course, what have you been, we have you a few times this season, but we've missed you. First time 2015, what have you been up to?
Well, 2015 is only been like a month, but I've been busy and I'm casting, I'm hosting sometimes, so you got to keep up with me on Instagram or Twitter or
Absolutely.
at Daniella McBride. But yeah, I've just been busy and having fun, and I went on Crazy Paradise last year on Bachelor.
Did you do it again?
No.
I almost joined you, but I didn't.
Good idea.
All right, so I don't think we have time for news and gossip, so let us move to some predictions.
Ooh, predictions.
And now,
once again, thank you,
your
Laurel.
AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay. Predictions. What do we see? I believe they're going to South Dakota next week. So, who's staying? Who's going? Is Kelsey going to make it? What happens next week? Who's ready? Who knows the answer? Daniella.
Kelsey's out.
Ashley I is out.
Ashley I?
That's my
Ashley
prediction.
I too. I think she's weird.
She's out.
I mean, the girls we didn't see in next week's promo is Mackenzie. I think that
Mackenzie's out.
He was talking about
you're
time, and she has a son back home. He doesn't want to prolong that time.
Yeah.
I could see her leaving, and then.
Yeah, I don't want Kale to go back.
I honestly, I don't know that Kelsey's gonna leave
Because
this
she
week.
just had,
right.
she
I feel like
explained
he can't
her
do that.
drama,
Yeah.
and it's not
I
good
feel like it's
timing.
going to be one more week. Like, she won't go next week, she'll go the week after.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
What about Megan? Is that her name? Megan.
Oh, the blonde.
Yeah, I kind of get this feeling when I see Megan of like, who is that again? Because she hasn't had some significant
Maybe she's the
moments with
sleeper.
him.
I think she's gonna be there at least one more week. How many is
could
he
be.
eliminating? 2?
I believe
don't know.
I believe 2. I imagine 2 or 3 around this point.
Usually
So
2
does
or 3.
next week look like a rose ceremony, then a full episode with another?
Yeah.
So we could potentially lose 3, 4
Yeah.
girls next week.
Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't think
yeah.
about that.
And the
Go to 11 to
2-on-1.
7.
Someone's going home.
Dun.
And who do we think the 2 are?
I got it.
Ashley I
Yep.
and
Kelsey. It totally is going to be those 2. I love it.
I
There we
don't
go.
know. Those are the 2 dramas.
That's why.
No,
That's why. That ensures one stays.
What if it's Whitney and
that's
But no,
what I
Ashley
would
gets
do.
up and says,
Something
"Why did you
crazy,
tell
I
her
think.
what I
Laurel,
told you?"
since we have you here just
It
for
is.
tonight, who's leaving and who's your winner?
My winner, though I don't think it's actually going to happen, but I would like it to, is Whitney.
Okay.
I enjoy her. I don't think she will win.
And who's leaving next week?
Ashley.
Ashley. Daniella.
I like Whitney too.
Whitney all the way?
I do like her. Wow. I don't know, something about her. I just think she's the most woman out of them all.
And she's a good match for him.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. Guys don't always pick that though.
All right, Cathy. You can talk to Laurel House afterwards. So first off, hey guys, so thank you so much for joining us tonight, Laurel House.
Yes,
Give her a round of applause. And of course, guys, a quick reminder, make sure to subscribe to YouTube and us, actually at YouTube.com/AfterBuzz TV, and check us out on iTunes and SoundCloud. So once again, I'm JC Rubio. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at JC Rubio TV.
I'm Lauren Solomon. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Lauren SOL.
Danny Hoyt, you can find me at Danny Hoyt on everything.
Cathy Kelley, you can find me at Catherine Kelley on Twitter and Cathy Kelley on Instagram.
And our Bachelor Insider, Daniella McBride, where can they find you?
At Daniella McBride.
And once again, oh wait, Steven, you haven't even shouted us out yet. Where can they find you, buddy? He's our engineer.
You can always find me here.
You can find me at AfterBuzz.
We'll leave that alone. And you can follow all of us at AfterBuzz TV. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.